Mississippi, she's calling my name. Catfish are jumping, that paddle wheel bumping, black water keep rolling on fast.
Starsys Publishing.
Good morning. Is this John Krygelski?
It certainly is. I was calling you on the other line.
Ah, fabulous. Well, you know what? The interns will pick that up, but welcome to Coffee Dribble this morning. I hope you're doing well in Tucson. I know it's beautiful here in Phoenix.
It is gorgeous down here, and it's a beautiful day.
Great. For those of you who haven't met John, he's an author. Interview earlier. I'm starting to wonder. I got to watch everything I say now because I might not be correct physics-wise. But you know what? I was talking with my buddy Charles, which he has another interview on the show, and we were talking about. You had mentioned grok, and his ears perked up. I had to rewind it for him to listen, and he said grok. He said that's from. He's a fan of Robert Heinlein. Is it Heinlein?
Heinlein, Stranger in a Strange Land.
That's what he said. A stranger in a strange land. Yes, yes. Is that a reference from that grok?
It is. Grok was actually the language. Yeah.
Right, the language. That's what he was telling me. Right.
Yeah.
Super. Well, he was impressed with that. So now, what we're talking with John today about is, of course, his books, which are fabulous. Starting with The Harvest, and we have a discussion about that a little bit to give you an insight. And the books between and up to Mutatus Procedure. Now, the Mutatus Procedure is your book that now you're going to have a sequel that's coming out, which is the Mutatus Nullification. So just to kind of recap on The Harvest, to let our readers know where it is that you're coming from. I've read rave reviews about that, by the way. That was released back in 2010, I think, March in 2010.
That's correct, and the reviews on it have been absolutely unbelievable. I even had a critic in London say that it was the best book she'd ever read in her entire career.
Well, now, how are you avoiding the cults, and are the paparazzi catching you everywhere you go in Tucson, or what? What's the deal?
No, we haven't. That hasn't happened yet, but I'm sure it's inevitable. Yeah.
Well, at least that's the good thing about being worldwide. A lot of your cult guys that would be stalking you can't really get to you yet. So, okay, but for those who are stalking you locally here, like myself and here in Phoenix and others in Tucson, you'll be having a book signing at your Starsys Publishing in Tucson. Can you tell us a little bit about that and get us going?
Absolutely. We really enjoy doing a kickoff party with each new book, and this one is going to be on Valentine's Day from noon to 6, 526 North Alvernon. And one of the things I meant to mention is I like to include in my books people who are in my life, people who I've met at signings, people who are friends. I actually write them into the book as characters, or frequently based characters upon people that I know. And a lot of the people who are in the Mutatus books or earlier books are going to be at the party also.
Oh, super!
One of the funniest ones was I had done a signing in El Paso, and saw a lot of people. Sold a lot of books. And about a month later, I got an email from this lady, and the email started out by saying, "Are you sure that the guy that I met in El Paso is the same guy who wrote The Harvest?" and I answered her back, "Yeah, I'm curious as to why you'd ask that question." And she said, "Well, I don't know if you remember me or not, but I spent quite a bit of time talking to you, and after I left, I went home and I read The Harvest. And that guy that I talked to wasn't nearly smart enough to have written that book."
Yeah.
So, I mean, the feedback is always interesting.
Well,
it really is.
Well, it's good to know that you're down to earth when you do talk to people.
If I talk to people, and I can't speak the way that I write.
Right.
A different part of my mind is fired up when my fingers are on the keyboard. And when I'm talking to people, I'm talking like you and I are speaking right now. when I'm writing, I go someplace else, and they've actually proven that that writers use a different part of their brain when they're writing than they do when they're speaking.
Well, I've read here that The Harvest is a gripping page-turner, a book that will change your view of the world, and that's pretty exciting. This is your first book that apparently published March 1st in 2010. Now, you're with Starsys Publishing Company, and people will see that on the screen in front of them there. You can contact them to get this book directly. And now, also, we have other books that have come up since then. We're going to talk about those on Monday's show. There's two books in between. I guess this one that really we should be talking about now is and I have trouble, so I'm going to have you talk about say the name, because every time I get goofed up on it. Go ahead.
Are we talking about the mutatus procedure?
Exactly.
Okay. Well, in between mutatus and the harvest, we had time cursor, Aegis solution, and mutatus procedure is a story that's set in Tucson. And it is about mind control, ancient aliens, Illuminati conspiracies, and government cover-ups. And it is centered around, kind of a very famous author. He has sold hundreds of millions of books debunking those things. And then all of a sudden one day he's confronted with something he can't debunk, he can't refute, and he decides he's going to go public with it. But before he can, he starts noticing small changes in his own mind, and those changes escalate to the point where he's actually mind controlled. And that is how the book starts.
What was your inspiration for this book?
Well, I'm a research junkie, and what has happened since The Harvest came out is I am approached pretty regularly by people who have seen things, who know things, who have evidence, and who have not had the guts or just feel like subjecting themselves to the ridicule associated with going public with it. But on the other hand, they would like to get it out there, and they feel safe getting it out there in a fictional format. An example of that is, I had a guy who then left and came back later with another friend. Both of them in their 70s, when I was doing a signing on a military installation, who told me that they were on patrol and saw, this was at Edwards Air Force Base in California, back in the 50s, and actually saw a flying saucer land on the dry lake bed at Edwards Air Force Base. And they were the ones who arrived. They were the ones who cordoned it off. They called their captain. One of the guys shot a couple of rolls of film of it, and when his captain arrived, he confiscated his camera and his film.
I've heard that.
Yeah, and then supposedly, according to them, a VIP arrived, and they had built a tent over the UFO at that point, or the flying saucer at that point. And the VIP went into the tent and spent several hours inside, and then came back out. And on his way back to the airplane, told the airman who was driving him that he had spent several hours talking to aliens from another planet.
Oh, wow!
And that the aliens told him they wanted to bring Earth into their Federation of Planets, kind of like Star Trek. But they would not deal with any planet that was still splintered into several governments. Once we had reached the point where we had one government ruling the entire planet, then we could join the Brotherhood. The VIP, according to these two old-timers, was Dwight Eisenhower.
Oh, wow. Nice twist. That looks like that's going to give us an idea about how your writing goes there, John. That's pretty exciting stuff. So we're going to talk about that on Monday's show. And then coming around to Friday, there'll be, again, the show in which we're going to talk about the follow-up to this book, which, again, is Mutatus, then... Nullification. And briefly touch on that, and then... we've got a great idea about what to... I tell you what, though, before I go on, the picture for your book, The Mutatus Procedure, is pretty intense. I like that cover picture.
Oh, do you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I am. We've got a wonderful artist who does our covers, and he did a great job on that. His name is Michael Nolan.
Oh,
and
kudos.
He does original artwork, usually oil paintings, sometimes acrylic or whatever, for each of the covers.
Well, just for the record, book cover definitely intrigues me. And it says the reader will be pulled into a world where nothing is as it seems, of course, even consciousness itself. So I look forward to reading that one. Now, going to the next book, which is the Mutatus Nullification. What goes on here? This is, of course, going in from Judson Kent, then moving forward. Is that the case?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and let me back up and explain something. The word mutatus is actually an ancient word that means literally he has been changed.
Oh, okay.
And in mutatus procedure, it of course applies to what happens to Judson and this handful of others who are all on the verge of releasing information that would be earth-shaking. And so that kind of sets things in motion. They get into some conflicts with some shadowy Men in Black kind of figures, and it builds up to this, mind-blowing conclusion, which I won't give away, obviously.
Well, obviously.
Right, in the mutatus procedure. Well, after it's all over and the dust settles and they all go back home, they start realizing, well, wait a minute, that really didn't answer all the questions. There's a couple of questions left hanging. And so they don't drop it. They continue digging, and that's where the mutatus nullification goes. And it actually gets into those questions and answers about the things I mentioned earlier, the ancient aliens, the Illuminati, all those things, and takes them in a very different direction than the first half did.
Excellent. And the book signing party at your location there in Tucson, is that correct?
Yeah, it's a release kickoff party, and the public is invited. And it's going to be on Valentine's Day, February 14th, from noon to 6. And I will be there and signing books. There's going to be refreshments and so on and so forth. It's at 526 North Alvernon.
And you'll see that on the screen there in front of you. So the public is invited, and you'll have your books there available for signing.
Right.
And
yeah, so we're gonna have fun. We'll have all the books there, not just the latest one. We'll do signings. I'll be doing a couple of readings. The requests have been coming in, and right now it looks like I'll do a reading from the Harvest and a reading from Aegis Solution, at least. And it's usually a pretty good time.
Well, good. And the thing is when I bring my book around, I'm going to get everybody signed like a class book, say. That's what I am.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm hoping everyone comes at the same time so we can do a group shot. So. Well,
okay. I'm notorious for group selfies of mass quantities behind me. So let me ask you this now. The time is from what time to what time it's a Saturday, and it's Valentine's Day. So what a place to bring your Valentine's date, huh? Get a book for it. She'll keep forever.
From noon to 6, and you can pop in anytime during that slot.
Well, nothing says loving like mutatus nullification.
Nothing says loving like giving your significant other a book that's been personally inscribed to them.
Yeah, that would. Now I'll tell you what, though. We joke about that, but all seriousness aside, I mean. No, no, but seriously, book signing, like my buddy Charles Whitefeet has the key fobs with initial on them with a little heart for Valentine's Day. The thing is, it is Valentine's Day, and you want to do something unique. And how about, what does your book sell for now? How much? Was it about $30?
The soft covers are $19.95, hardcovers $29.95.
Well, that's a heck of a deal, and I love the cover. Like I said, the covers of your books, your artist, fabulous. I think I'm kind of shallow sometimes. I sometimes look at the cover of the book and like a kid in a candy store that looks good to me, so I'm gonna check it out. But
well, the covers are important, and they need to convey not just a little message of what the book is about, but also the feel of it.
Yeah, and the thing is I want to take and steal that image from Mutatus Procedure, where the eyes are coming through the forehead. That's like, wow, that's so intense. So, anyway, but I look forward to...
The artist is going to be at the signing also.
I was going to say, now, is your artist going to be there? Because, I'm sure he's got a lot of other work, too. Now, here's the thing with Starsys Publishing. We have that on the page here so that you can see it. And there's a page at the Two Wise Guys where you'll see an icon at the top for the same icon you see for John. And you'll be able to take and do all the links from there. There'll be it's kind of a little look into not only his other books, but of course this Mutatus Nullification coming out, and to keep you updated, he's got a Facebook page that you can go to, and make sure that you don't just click like, you got to click follow, sometimes, so that you can stay up to what's going on. And this particular event, everybody's invited, so hope we don't get too mobbed,
Well, I hope we do. So,
yeah, well, I'm going to bring along some of the crew with us too, and now we got in this competition before where I was going to say more than you say am I pretty much still ahead on that?
I lost count.
All right. Well, okay, I'm going to take and look forward to talking with you then on Monday. We're going to go into actually a little bit of maybe the reading from the Mutatus Procedure. And we'll talk about that. And then, of course, Friday, we'll have all the latest information on the 13th before that big blowout publishers party there in Tucson. Okay, for me, it's about an hour and a half drive. Some of you will be coming in by plane. You'd be best to come into Phoenix. If you want to ride with me, come on in. Let me know in an IM, and I'll take you along. It's not the first time somebody's made a change of flights so they could hang out with the old Marquis. Okay.
Well, I can understand that.
Yeah, we do have a good time here. I got my gang here. I got Winston. He had a couple of comments during the interview there, but I made him keep it to himself. And we got the cat and the rabbit running around here trying to chew up things. And but my best editors are the Goldfish gang. No matter what, they never have anything to say that disrupts my day.
That'd be a good trait in a lot of people. But,
you're going to have to, when you get in Phoenix, make sure you stop over here to the house, and we'll let you meet the gang here. But I was going to bring Winston, but that's a long trip, so we'll probably let him stay behind because he's our mascot.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was super interview, and look for him on Facebook and on my site, the2wiseguys.com. You'll see down there below where you'll have all the links where you can go ahead and get these books, bring your book to the signing, and you'll get to the head of the line. That's what I find. those that bring their books get to the head of the line. That's the rule. That's the new rule.
Always.
All right. Well, great. Having you on Coffee Dribble. Look forward to Monday's show, and have a great weekend. And you've been listening to Mark Newhart, Brain to Brain with John Krygelski and Starsys Publishing, only on thebluescornerradio.com. Now back to the music.
Mississippi moon, won't you keep on shining on old black water, keep on rolling. Mississippi moon, won't you keep on shining on old black water, keep on rolling. Mississippi moon, won't you keep on shining on me? Yeah, keep on shining your light. Gonna make everything great. Mama gonna make everything alright. And I ain't got no worries, 'cause I ain't in no hurry at all. Well, if it rains, I don't care. Don't make no difference to me. Just take that streetcar